What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for watching another video. About to go in to see Aquaman. I'm super excited. I'm gonna be giving my spoiler-free review right after, so let's go watch. Real quick, guys, I just wanted to interject this in here real quick. I'm filming this way after the fact, already edited the video and I was gonna post it. And then I just remembered I wanted to do some quick shout outs for 3 channels that are still growing just like mine and are definitely looking for more people to check out their channel. I just definitely wanted to recommend these channels. I'm gonna leave the links down in the comments down below. I definitely want you to check out my friend Jaquent with Q Reviews. Super funny dude, awesome channel. He reviews movies, big geek, really cool guy, just laid back. I have him on Facebook now, we've been talking. Really cool guy. If you can definitely check out his channel, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Let him know in the comments that I sent you if you do. Yeah, he's a really cool guy. Do that for all these people. Also, Ronnie Rubio with his channel News to Astonish. Really cool guy. He talks about comics, games, movies, and more. Really awesome dude. Definitely check out his channel. I think that you'll definitely enjoy his content if you like comics, movies, video games, all that kind of stuff. He does a lot of different comic book related stuff. He also does gameplay videos, and I really enjoy the different take he has on this kind of content. And also check out my friend Michael and his channel, Super Dynamic Bros. Him and his buddy, I can't really remember his name right now, I'm so sorry, man. They do different reviews for movies, 2 guys talking about movies. Really awesome channel. Definitely just channels that are trying to grow, and I just wanted to, you know, throw out a little shout out for them. For those of you who check out my channel, maybe you're into this content and you want to find more new content to check out, new content to listen to of the same kind. So yeah, guys, just check out these channels if you're really into this kind of content. You know, these are really good channels that are trying to grow. I'm gonna leave their links down in the description and just trying to help them grow their channel the same as I'm trying to grow my channel. So thanks, guys, really appreciate that. All right, guys, I am now back home. Just got home from watching Aquaman. Woo! I love this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun right out of the gate. I'll go ahead and say that. Jason Momoa is just the epitome of cool, just the epitome of badass, and the epitome of man. Genuinely, like, I really did enjoy this movie. I think epic is the biggest word I can slap on this movie, to be honest, right out of the gate. I do have a few negatives, not too many. I'm gonna make this a pretty short and concise review. I don't want to give you any spoilers. I feel like if you've seen the trailers, you can pretty much kind of predict what the story is going to be. And as I was watching the movie, it really wasn't one of those movies where I felt a sense of like, ooh, what's going to happen next. There were a few nice little things that were like, ooh, that's cool. That's some story moments that kind of had you kind of like, oh, that's cool. But it was more of kind of just seeing how it actually played out, you know, how the characters played out, how they were portrayed, and how the actors portrayed everything. So as far as the story being something like super surprising and having a lot of twists and turns, like I say now, it's not one of those films, at least it wasn't for me. And then on top of that, I'm pretty familiar with the character and the comics and all that kind of stuff. But just my quick and concise review on the film is I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's probably the most fun film that DC has put out for their current DCEU. Now, with that said, I think I can objectively say that Wonder Woman is the better film that they've released in terms of the narrative and the pacing and the structure of the film itself. But Aquaman, for me, was easily the most entertaining and fun film to watch, with the best action I think the DCEU has shown so far. Whatever you want to call it, the DCEU, the DCU, anything. As far as the current timeline of DC films, I think Aquaman definitely delivers on the best action, and it feels like a just big comic book action film to the highest level that you can make one of those films. That's the biggest praise I can give this film. Now, I also really love the performances. I thought that Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, I believe her name is, Willem Dafoe, Dolph Lundgren. There's just so many names in this. Nicole Kidman. There were so many great big faces in this movie, and I really loved everybody's performance. You know, everybody kind of knows what movie they're in. There's never really a feeling of like over seriousness, but there's never a feeling of too much camp or cheesiness. You know, the movie, it feels very much in tone the entire time. Like I said, the action's phenomenal. The special effects are a lot of fun to watch. I think this movie is a visual feast. The whole time, I was just super into everything. The visuals are just beautiful the entire time, and the story, I would say, is probably the weaker element, but it's not bad in any way. At least it wasn't to me. I thought it was a very fun and energetic story with a lot of fun moments. There's a few jokes throughout it that didn't land for me. I can see where they would land for some people. It wasn't really one of those movies that had like the audience laughing, but there was definitely a bunch of like, oh shit moments, or oh, like kind of moments with like action and stuff like that. It was just stuff that had me like, I was just staring at the screen, loving it. I really enjoyed this film throughout the entire time. I was entertained thoroughly throughout the entire thing. So just to hit on some specific positives, like I said, the action, the CG, I really enjoyed. I will say, I can tell some people may not like the CG. I know some people who are not into like big CG heavy films may not like this movie because there is a lot of it. And there are times when there's a lot of the big underwater battles going on that feel like big kind of like cutscenes from video games. There's so much going on. There's all these different creatures and all these explosions and everything happening, and I can see some people maybe not liking that as much. I personally loved it as somebody who loves video games and loves just the comic book genre and action films and fantasy. If you're into any of those things, you will love it. I loved all that element. I loved the world building and the mythology that was built around these characters. Seeing Atlantis and what they did to build it up, it has me excited. I want to see another movie. I was genuinely in love with everything that I saw in this movie. I will say the weakest element of the film for me was that there's two main villains in the movie, and I thought they were both solid villains. I thought that they were a lot of fun. I liked both characters a lot, and I think they both had really strong motivations. That's the one thing I could say is I really enjoyed that both villains had strong motivations. You bought into their characters. But because of that and everything else that the movie's tackling and trying to balance, I felt that one of the villains kind of gets sidelined. And when you watch the film, it's very clear which one that is. And it was kind of sad, you know. I think that they're definitely setting up for more in the future. But one of the villains definitely gets sidelined in this movie, and it almost made me feel like they probably could have pushed him for the sequel. But I will say, after seeing this, and after, I really loved Wonder Woman. I've enjoyed the other DCU movies after rewatching them at home and, kind of being able to sit with them a little bit longer. But they've definitely had a lot of disappointing, like, elements across, or maybe movies that just aren't super strong, especially when they're competing up against Marvel. And I will say, Wonder Woman for me was a kind of resurgence for them, and this movie for me was definitely that, because Justice League for me was kind of like, it was a fun time as I've rewatched it over the years, and I'm definitely going to do reviews. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do reviews for all of the DC movies that are in this current timeline. But I just felt like they needed more strong solo films. And I will say, I don't know which one I like more. I think, like I said, I can objectively say that I think Wonder Woman has a stronger narrative and stronger character focus. But I think this movie is far more entertaining. I think it really understands the character of Aquaman and the craziness of that world. And it gives it to you full throttle. I think you walk out of this and you have a better understanding of Atlantis and the whole mythology that comes with Aquaman and that whole underwater world. I was so in love with this movie. I had so much fun. As soon as the movie ended, me and my girlfriend looked at each other and we were both like, we really love this movie. It was a lot of fun. That was the biggest word I can slap on it. Fun, epic, exciting. And it's just one of those movies that really had me at the end of it pumped to see more. I wanted to see more out of the DCEU in this timeline. I want the DC movies to give us more of this, this big comic book action fun movies with great characters that have funny moments and some heart, as well as just telling us a fun and exciting story. And I think that this movie did it. I think Jason Momoa's portrayal of Aquaman is awesome. It's great to see such a character that has been teased, so many times, taken and done in such an awesome and epic way. I used to always mess around when I was talking to my dad about the fact that Aquaman was just kind of like, like the cheesy guy, that he'd be staying back, like, waiting for the Justice League to get back, and he's like, hey guys, I made some sandwiches, you know what I mean? Like, me and my dad always used to rag on that character, me specifically, and my dad was always a lot more in support of him being a more epic character. And I will say, they did it. They made Aquaman badass. He's badass in this movie, like 110%. And yeah, Jason Momoa really brings it. I think everybody, like I said, knows what movie they're in, and I couldn't recommend this movie more personally. Personally, for me, I thought it was a lot of fun. Now, is it the craziest thing of all time? Like I said, the story isn't the super strong thing. It's not one of those movies where you're walking out like, man, I was just emotionally impacted. But it definitely entertaining. Fun and entertainment and epic are the words I would slap on this. So if you go, it's the epitome of popcorn films. I totally recommend going to check this out. If you enjoyed Wonder Woman and you're looking for something stronger in this current line of DC films, I definitely think this is it. But again, I definitely think you should know the kind of movie that you're going into. Take my words of advice in terms of the heavy CG and battles. If you're one of the people who are just gonna walk into that and think, I don't want these big CG underwater battles, then you're not gonna enjoy this movie, because there's a lot of that in this movie. But I personally, I think if you're a fan of fantasy, if you're a fan of comic books and these characters and this universe, this is definitely a comic book movie that you'll definitely want to see. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, guys, that's all I really want to say. I don't really want to get into anything else. Like I said, if you've seen the trailers, they've kind of really already spoiled what the basic structure of the film and the story is. And yeah, my only real negatives, maybe there was one moment my girlfriend and I both talked about where there was some really weak acting, and there's a few moments of maybe some cheesy jokes or some things that maybe don't work, but the movie kind of just keeps going, and it kind of gets, you know, lost in the shuffle. Outside of that, I'll say that the only other negatives I have is the first and second act feel a little rushed. There's a few moments for sure where it feels like they're just trying to get you to the big parts of the story. So there's kind of like, all right, we need to do this, and then the next scene they're there. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, now we have to do this, and the next scene it's like, we're now here. You know what I mean? Like it says the text at the bottom of the screen, saying where they are in the new place. So it's kind of like a choppy feel for a little bit when they're trying to just kind of pick up the story. But once the story kind of picks up and the characters are with each other and things are happening, I was really engaged. I was really enthralled with everything that was happening. The action just kept me super engaged the entire time, and the characters and the fun of Jason Momoa's portrayal of Aquaman is really what keeps this movie driven the entire time, at least for me. I would say my only other negative is probably a few things that weren't developed too well, maybe a few story moments or some characters that kind of just are there. Specifically, that villain that I mentioned, there is like I said, there's two villains in the movie, and one of them kind of does get sidelined. It kind of makes you wonder if he even should have been in the movie at all. And it sucks because, like I said, both villains have strong motivations, so you're kind of into both of their stories, but one of them gets sidelined. So those are my big negatives, and I totally recommend you guys checking out this movie. I think if you want to go see a big action, epic film that's going to keep your eyes locked on the screen with crazy action that you don't really see in a lot of movies these days, I totally say you should go check it out. It's very unique visually, and it brings something very unique to the comic book genre. So yeah, guys, I totally recommend going to watch it. Leave a comment down below if you've checked it out. Let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it not your cup of tea? I'm very, very curious to see what people are saying about this movie. It's kind of sad to see that it has a 67% as of right now on Rotten Tomatoes, because I think it's definitely deserving of more. But I have heard people not like the whole CG element and stuff like that. There were a few moments where the CG kind of looked a little like a video game. But again, it's a comic book film, and I feel like the movie was very self-aware, and it didn't take away from everything happening for me. It was epic. That's really what I can give it. So yeah, guys, leave a comment down below. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell icon next to the subscribe, you know, so you can check out my next videos. And if you haven't checked out my other videos, go through my channel. There's tons of other videos that I've been done. There's tons of other videos that I've been doing recently, and yeah, I totally recommend you guys check out those videos too. So yeah, leave me the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye bye.